Most people think billionaires are a modern invention. Tech founders, hedge fund managers, luxury moguls. But the first billionaire lived over a century ago. He didn't build apps or websites. He built oil refineries. He controlled 90% of America's oil. He was so powerful that the government had to break up his company to stop him. This is John D. Rockefeller, the first billionaire ever, and the man who owned America before anyone knew what $1 billion even meant. The poor boy who counted every penny. John Davison Rockefeller was born on July 8, 1839 in Richford, New York. He died in 1937 at age 97, worth an estimated $340 billion in today's money, making him the richest person in modern history. But John didn't start with anything. He started with poverty and a father who abandoned the family. John's father, William Rockefeller, was a con man who sold fake miracle cures and had a secret second family. He disappeared for months, leaving John's mother to raise 6 children alone. Money was always tight. They moved constantly. John later said, "My mother taught me that wasting money was a sin. Every penny mattered. That lesson stayed with me forever." Even as a child, John was obsessed with money. He saved every cent. He lent money to neighbors and charged them interest. At age 16, John got his first job as an assistant bookkeeper, earning 50 cents a day. He was meticulous, organized, and obsessed with efficiency. John celebrated getting that job for the rest of his life. Every year he marked the anniversary, calling it more important than his birthday. The oil rush that changed everything. In 1859, oil was discovered in Pennsylvania. It sparked a rush similar to the California gold rush. Thousands of people flooded into oil towns, drilling wells, hoping to get rich quick. It was chaos, wild speculation, fortunes made and lost overnight. Most people were drilling for oil. John saw a different opportunity. He realized that refining oil, turning crude oil into usable kerosene for lamps, was more profitable and less risky than drilling. In 1863, at age 24, John invested in his first oil refinery in Cleveland, Ohio. While others gambled on drilling, John focused on refining, distribution, and control. A business partner from that time said John didn't chase quick money. He built systems. He wanted control, not luck. By 1865, John bought out his partners and took full control of the refinery. He ran it with ruthless efficiency. He negotiated secret deals with railroads for cheaper shipping rates. He undercut competitors on price. He bought out rivals who couldn't compete. In 1870, John founded Standard Oil Company. His goal was simple: control the entire oil industry. And that's exactly what he did. The monopoly that owned America. John D. Rockefeller didn't just compete. He eliminated competition. His strategy was brutal: buy out competitors, undercut prices, negotiate exclusive deals, and crush anyone who refused to sell. He formed secret alliances with railroads, getting massive discounts that smaller competitors couldn't get. This gave him a huge cost advantage. He bought pipelines, storage facilities, and distribution networks. He controlled every step from refining to delivery. A historian explained Rockefeller didn't just dominate oil, he controlled the entire supply chain. Competitors couldn't survive. If a competitor refused to sell, John would wage price wars selling oil below cost until the competitor went bankrupt. Then he'd buy the assets for nothing. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's oil refining. By 1890, it controlled 95%. John wasn't just rich. He was a monopoly. He owned America's most important resource. A journalist who investigated Standard Oil wrote, "Rockefeller built the most powerful company in history." He controlled energy, he controlled the economy, he controlled everything. The ruthless methods. John's success came from ruthlessness and efficiency. He had no sympathy for competitors. John believed competition was wasteful. He thought one large, efficient company was better than hundreds of small, inefficient ones. But his methods were brutal. Standard Oil used spies to gather intelligence on competitors. They bribed officials. They manipulated markets. They crushed small businesses without mercy. A small refinery owner who lost everything to Standard Oil said Rockefeller destroyed my life. He took everything I built and paid me almost nothing. He's a monster. But John didn't see himself as evil. He saw himself as logical. He believed he was creating order from chaos, building a better system, making oil cheaper and more accessible. John once explained, "I wanted to make oil so cheap that only the poorest families would burn candles. I succeeded." And he was right. Standard Oil made kerosene affordable for millions of Americans, lighting homes across the country. But the cost was competition, fairness, and freedom. The government breaks up the empire. By the early 1900s, Standard Oil's power terrified people. Journalists, politicians, and reformers demanded action. Investigative journalist Ida Tarbell published a devastating series exposing Standard Oil's corrupt practices. Her work turned public opinion against John. She wrote, "John D. Rockefeller is the most dangerous man in America. He's built a monopoly that destroys freedom and crushes competition." John hated Tarbell. He called her Miss Tarbell and dismissed her work as lies. But the damage was done. The government launched investigations. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil violated antitrust laws. The company was broken up into 34 separate companies. John was furious, but also pragmatic. He still owned shares in all the broken up companies. Ironically, the breakup made him even richer. The separate companies thrived, and their combined values soared. A financial analyst explained, breaking up Standard Oil was supposed to punish Rockefeller. Instead, it made him the richest man in history. Many of those broken up companies still exist today. ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP America, all descendants of Standard Oil. The man behind the billions. Despite his ruthless business tactics, John lived a simple, disciplined life. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He went to church every Sunday. He followed strict routines. He was frugal, even as a billionaire. He wore cheap suits. He reused string. He counted every expense. A servant who worked in his home said, "Mr. Rockefeller was the richest man alive, but he acted like he was poor." He'd turn off lights to save electricity. He'd reuse wrapping paper. John was also a devoted Baptist. He believed wealth was a gift from God and a responsibility. The philanthropist who changed the world. John D. Rockefeller gave away over $540 million during his lifetime, equivalent to tens of billions today. He founded the University of Chicago, turning it into one of the world's great universities. He created the Rockefeller Foundation, which funded medical research, education, and public health worldwide. His foundation helped eradicate hookworm disease in the American South, saving millions of lives. He funded the development of penicillin, vaccines, and modern medicine. A medical historian said, Rockefeller's philanthropy saved more lives than his business practices destroyed. His legacy is complicated, but undeniably massive. John also funded African American education, supporting schools and colleges during segregation. Booker T. Washington, the famous educator, said, "Mr. Rockefeller has done more for Negro education than any man in America." But critics accused John of using philanthropy to clean his image. They called it tainted money. John didn't care. He said simply, "I believe in giving while living." The final years. John D. Rockefeller retired in his 50s, stepping back from business to focus on health, family, and giving. He lived to 97 years old, an extraordinary age for his time. He credited his longevity to golf, daily naps, and a positive attitude. John died on May 23, 1937, in Ormond Beach, Florida. He was the first billionaire ever. The complicated legacy. John D. Rockefeller's legacy is complicated. He was a ruthless monopolist who destroyed competitors without mercy. He corrupted markets and crushed small businesses. But he also revolutionized the oil industry, made energy affordable, and funded institutions that changed the world. A historian concluded, Rockefeller was both villain and hero. He built an empire on ruthlessness, but gave it away in generosity. He's the most contradictory figure in American history. His descendants remain powerful today. The Rockefeller family has produced governors, senators, philanthropists, and business leaders for generations, from a poor boy counting pennies to the first billionaire ever, from ruthless monopolist to history's greatest philanthropist, from owning America to giving it away. That's the story of John D. Rockefeller, the man who proved that one person could control an entire nation's future. If you enjoyed learning about John D. Rockefeller, the first billionaire in history who built an empire and changed the world, let us know who we should uncover next. The greatest fortunes in history hold the most powerful lessons, and we're bringing them all to light.